Hi, Sarah Banas here, Learn to Craft. I have something really neat to show you today. Today we're going to work with Cricut's new watercolor markers. These are so innovative and fun to work with, you're going to love them. So let's go ahead and get rid of all of this extra stuff on here. So let me just tell you, if this video is of interest to you or helpful, like the video, that helps me out a ton. But also subscribe to my channel. When you're subscribed, you'll get a notification when the new videos come out, probably once a week or so. Lots of fun new materials to use and projects to make, but also teaching you how to design for yourself. It was a really great series we're working through on making your own designs. You're not going to want to miss it, so subscribe so you get the notifications. Let's get rid of this. I'm going to link in the video description everything that we use here. So I'm going to link the watercolor markers. You can use these both on Joy and on the Explore Maker series. It is separate. There's a separate set for each of those, and I will link the two separate sets in the video description. I'm also going to link the watercolor cards that I use. So they have two different cards. They have let's see here, we have the S40s, which are 4.75 square. And then the other cards that are set up for these, so these are specific watercolor paper cards. The other ones are the R40s, and those ones are 4.75 by 6.6. So let's go ahead and what I'm going to do, so let me first show you, if you want to just upload a design and, have the watercolor markers write it out for you and then color it in, super easy. All you're going to do is you're going to go to images and you're going to type in anything. I'll type in butterfly, and then you're going to, over here, you're going to go to project type, and then click on watercolor markers. You can get rid of this. And then that's going to show you all of these are all watercolor marker designs. It'll draw these out, and then you just, there's like a water pen, a water marker in there, a water like paintbrush kind of thing. And then you fill that up with water, and then you just color it out. You color out the lines. Super easy. So you don't have to really, there's no designing that you have to do. I wanted to show you some additional skill sets, so I went a different direction with mine, but that's super easy if you just want to do that. One other thing real quick, in the video description, I'm going to link one of our Facebook groups. I'm going to link Cricut for Beginners. It's about 700,000 members at this point, super friendly, super helpful. You'll fit right in. Make sure you join us there. You'll love it. So I'll link that in the video description as well. Let's get rid of this. So this is our card. I have a basic template here I've made that's 4.75 by 4.75. Let me undo that. And let me get that I can get rid of this. Okay. And that will leave me with just this. I'm actually going to decrease the size of this just a little bit. Tiny little bit, because I don't want it taking up all of the area. So what I have done here, I'm going to link these in the video description also. This right here, this butterfly, that is in Cricut Images, and I will note the item number of that. That's a great butterfly. What I have done, let me show you. I have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I made those out of this. Put these back in place. Okay, so the way I did that is I took this, let's move this over here. I just want to show you the skill set so that you know how to do it. Okay, so I took that and I duplicated it once. Okay, and then what I did is I took this, and down here in the bottom right, I clicked contour. And then first get rid of the outside, the outline, and that's going to leave you with this. So let me just show you if I change that to yellow, and then what's going to happen is that these pieces fit right inside of there, right? But what I did to make the 3 colors is I took this and then I duplicated that one time, for each of the colors. So I have 3 colors. And then what I did is I contoured out everything except for, I left only the blue dots on this one. I left only these yellow pieces on this one, and then only these orange pieces on this one. So go back into contour. And then just go ahead and either click over here on the right hand side. See when I click that, how that lightens up. And then I click that and that lightens up. Or you can click right here on the pieces. Okay, so I got rid of all of these pieces. I got rid of everything except for these outside dots. And then on the next one, everything except for the 4 on this side and the 4 on this side. And the final one, everything except for these 2 bottom wings. So that gave me the 3 separate contour pieces that I needed. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this and get rid of this. And then what I did is I made the text and these 2 laurels. So this font is this font, and these 2 laurels are all in the same family. It's called Amisteri. It's one of my absolute favorite font families. I'll link it in the video description. It's a great, so it's got the script, it's got a sans serif, and it's got an ornaments. So an ornaments font family, or a font set. So the way that I made the happy, if you're not familiar with font glyphs, the Y in that is a font glyph. So let me just show you real quick. And I will link in the video description how to use font glyphs. So let me just show you what I mean by that in case you're not familiar. I don't want to make this video wordy, but I do want it to have some skill sets in it. So when I just type out happy with that font, do you see the difference in the Y? That Y is a glyph. Fancy letters like that are often in the glyphs. So I will show you in the video description how to change this Y to this Y in the glyphs. Super easy. And that's an important skill to know. So then on the bottom, you can see where I did, let me actually bring this back, and then I'll just change that to Amisteri Hand, which is the sans serif in the font family. And I'll show you how I curved that bottom. So with it selected up here on the top where it says curve, see that? And then to bottom curve it, you're going to go to the left. See how that bottom curves? If you go the other way, it'll top curve. If you're trying to top curve, super easy. So that's how I got that bottom curve for birthday. Okay. And then these 2 laurels, I just added those in from, show you real quick, Amisteri. This comes with the Amisteri family. It comes with an extra, so see all of these, those are all extras that are in the family. And that's what those 2 laurels are. And I use those way too often in almost every design I make. I use those laurels because I just love them. So what we're going to do is this. So this right here, this butterfly, the black outline, that we're going to cut. I want to show you how we can integrate different types of telling the machine to do different things all at once in a single project. So that we are going to cut in, we're just going to do a basic cut on that. So it's already set to basic. And we're going to cut that in, let me just change it to gray so that we know when we get to that on the mat, when it's telling us what to do. That we're going to cut in a holographic vinyl, a self-adhesive holographic vinyl, okay? Now, our 3 separate colors, those we're going to do in the watercolor pens, okay? So I'm going to click on that and see where it says basic cut. We're going to change that to be pen. And then I'm going to change that to blue, just so I know which pen to load when I get over to the mat. So we'll change that to that. Doesn't have to be, it doesn't matter what color you choose per se. It's just, it's not going to obviously, it's going to write whatever color you load, whatever color pen you load into the machine. But if you set these up to be the right color, it makes it a little bit easier so you know which pen to load. Again, I'm going to change that to pen, and I'm going to change that to yellow. Okay, and then the orange, I'm going to change that on the operation up here on the top, change that to pen, and I'm going to change that to orange. Okay, so now I have those all changed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to hold Control down, and I'm going to click on the next one, and I'm going to keep holding Control so I have all three of these selected. So again, I'm holding Control, and then I'm clicking on it. So 1, 2, 3, and that selects them all at once without selecting the rest of our design, okay? And I'm going to, actually, I take that back. I'm not going to select those yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these three. I already have these three grouped, Happy Birthday and the 2 Laurels. Because what I'm going to do with those is I'm going to have those be black watercolor. So let's select that. Actually, I already have a group. So I'll just select the whole group. And then I will, missing that one, and then I'll weld this all together. And then that'll be a singular layer. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that, and I'm going to change that to be a pen. And then I want that to be black. Okay, so that's going to be the black watercolor pen. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to move this over to the side. The piece that I'm doing in vinyl, that I'm going to move that over to the side because we're not going to attach that all into our writing. That's going to be separate. I'm going to select all of these, and then on the bottom right, I'm going to click attach, okay? So now these are all going to be done as a single, these are all going to be done as like a single piece, and then this will be separate. This will get cut separate, okay? Now I'm going to go to Make It, and we're going to manually select for each load, okay, because we're doing 2 separate things, okay? So I'm going to click Confirm, and then on this one, I'm going to click on Card Mat, okay, and then I'm going to make sure that I have the correct ones selected, which are the S40 cards, so right there. Okay, and then it's going to move it up to the top, and it's going to know exactly where to write. And then when we load that card in, we're going to load it right onto the very top of the card mat. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll go over to the machine and we'll take a look at how to load each of the pens in and how it walks you through that. Okay, so I'm going to click Continue. It's going to connect to my maker. Okay, and then browse all materials, and I'll put in watercolor. Okay, and then I'm going to click watercolor cards, okay? And it's going to tell me to move the star wheels over to the side so that it doesn't, like kind of mess up the card. And then we'll go ahead and we'll load it in, and it'll walk us through putting in each of the pens individually, each of the colors, so that we get this all in the colors that we have selected. So let's go ahead and go over to the machine now. Okay, so here we are at the machine. Let me show you the mat. So on the mat, this is one of the card mats, and I have my card loaded on the top. See how that's watercolor paper? And you can see that the machine is flashing. It means it's ready to load. I'm going to put this in here. Just hold it steady with just a little bit of pressure. And I'm going to click Load. And let me show you the watercolor marker set. So this is the set for the Explore and Maker series. There is also a set for the Joy series. So, and you can see in here that it's got 8 marker colors, and then it's got the water So let's get this out of here and I'll just show you real quick. Oops. So it's got the 8 colors, and then it's got this, which is the pen that you fill with water, the paintbrush you fill with water, and then that you color with. So let's go ahead and let's go back over to the machine, and I'll show you. It's going to tell us which color to load. Okay, so you can see here on our cut screen where it says 2, it says tools and material loaded. So it's saying to load up the yellow 0.4 pen, okay? And then it's saying coming up, and these are the colors that are coming up. Okay, so that 0.4 pen you can ignore. We're using the watercolor pen, so it's going to be the yellow watercolor pen. Okay, let's go back over to the machine. Okay, so it's going to have me first load the yellow marker, the yellow watercolor marker. So we're going to open this up, and we're going to pop that in there, and we're going to press it down. Okay, and then you want to make sure that it's pressed all the way down. Close this, and then press the flashing button. Okay, and then it's going to go ahead and it's going to write out all of the yellow parts. Okay, and when that's done, it's going to give you the opportunity to unload this and load the next marker. So next it's going to state on the Design Space to load the midnight marker. And you'll see which one, it'll say right on there which is the next one to load. So we're going to load the midnight marker, which is black. Make sure it's all the way down. And then we're going to, again, click on the flashing arrow. And now it's going to write out all of that part. This is going to be super, super pretty. Okay, now it's saying to load in turquoise. Open this up, get this out of here. And we'll load our blue. And then orange will be last. So click the flashing light. Okay, and now finally it's going to tell me to load the orange. Click the flashing light. Okay, so now we're going to unload this and we're going to go back to Design Space, and I'll show you how it's going to direct us now to load our holographic material onto a regular mat and then load that to the machine. Okay, so here we are back at Design Space, and I'm going to click on Mat. Okay, so, and I'm going to click Confirm. And then you can see that I'm going to need to cut this probably 3 by 4 to be safe. Okay, and I'm going to click Continue. And then I'm going to choose permanent glitter vinyl. So I'm going to type in glitter. And I'm going to find the premium vinyl. So let's just see here. Okay, so I'm going to go just the glitter vinyl setting, and I'm going to click Done. Okay, and now let's go back over to the Cricut and we'll load this and it'll cut this portion of it. So here we are. We have our vinyl on our mat. It's all set to go. You can see it flashing. We're going to load this in. Okay, and then we're going to press cut. Okay, and now it's going to go ahead and it's going to cut this portion of it. So once we have this all cut out, we will go ahead and I will weed it. And then I'll meet you at my craft table and we will work on the watercolor portion, on the painting of the watercolor, and then putting everything together. Okay, so here we are at my workspace. We have our card, we have our water pen, I have some paper, just so that I don't get through onto my workspace. So we'll take a couple pieces of paper, I'll lay that down, and then lay this on top of it. So looking back in retrospect, if I were doing this again, I would probably have cut my Happy and Birthday and the Laurel out of vinyl as well, just because it was a little bit much for the watercolor pens to handle the small spaces in between the letters, the white space. But it'll still be pretty, but that's what I would have done next time. So the water pen, take this off, super easy. Water marker, I guess it would be. Water paintbrush. You unscrew it, fill it up with water, and that's it. That's all there is to it. I do have a piece of scrap watercolor paper. You could just use regular paper if you wanted to. This is just one that I made a mistake on. I did it the wrong color. So I have already kind of squeezed out some water, okay? And then you'll want to put it on there in between colors and just kind of get your colors out. And then here is our butterfly in the glitter Cricut vinyl. So you're going to want to start with your lightest colors first. And then from the outside, moving in, you're going to paint that color in. Quite a bit of extra water on there. And you're just going to paint that color moving in towards the center. Now, because this one we are going to be adding in that vinyl on top, it doesn't have to be perfect in that middle part. And make sure that you're not getting color out into the blue. And then the more times you go over it, the more that color will bleed into your design. This is going to be really, really, really pretty. And people have asked, can you do this? Can you do the writing and then come back the next day and do your water part? And absolutely you can. Yep. You may have to use a little bit of extra water just to get it all the way you want it. But you can definitely do that. And, you know, this is the thing. So this is one of many, many, many ways that you can use these. And you can already see how pretty that's going to be. I love how the edges are just a little bit darker, and then you're coming in towards that watercolor in the middle. So I was thinking, like, do a rainbow, but then blend the colors ever so slightly on the where the colors meet. So do all of your water part, and then afterwards go back in and blend the colors together just a little bit, and that would be super pretty. Or for like raindrops, or there's a lot of stuff that you're going to be able to do with these. These are a lot of fun. And another thing is, if you want to make for kids, you could always make like little, like, not color by numbers because the colors are already there, but little coloring projects for kids. How fun for a kid's party would it be to have, you know, little coloring projects set up? Okay, so there's our yellow, all done. I think that's enough of the yellow. I might move a little bit more of this in towards this side. Fill that in just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go over here to my spare piece. Just kind of squeeze out a little bit of water and just kind of get any color. And you can see how little color remains on that. Let me just try to get you into focus here. Let me move my light a little bit so that it's not causing a shadow. It's going to. There's not really any way around it. It's just the way it is outside today. It's kind of dreary out, so the light is especially bright. But oh, you can see there's just not much color transfer left on there. I don't know if it's maybe, excuse me, maybe the synthetic that the brush is, or whatever it is. It was very well made where it doesn't hold on to the color, so there's not color transfer easily, but that it still moves that color around on your image. That is often the case that I find with Cricut products, is that I'll find something about them that is just really well thought out as far as the usability goes. So, but even going beyond that, like my maker, just the way it opens and closes and just everything about it is very well thought out. Okay. This is going to be so pretty. And you can see with the larger pieces that you have to work a little bit harder to get that color into the center, so you don't end up with the larger pieces being lighter than the smaller pieces. So I might actually come back and add a little bit, let it dry just a little bit, and then add just a little bit more color into the center, move a little bit more of the color into the center on that large piece over there. This is going to be really, really pretty. And I might even go back and recut in like maybe a black, maybe like a oil slick vinyl, like an oil slick holographic, and recut out this happy birthday. So do the black and the watercolor and then come back and put that holographic in the center of it, almost like it's a black offset. I might do that, and that would be really pretty too. And this water marker, the water brush, really holds just the right amount of water. You can see that it's not leaking out. It just lets out. I'm not squeezing it at all. It's just letting out the proper amount for each piece. Oh, ignore that sound. I have got to move. My sublimation printer is right by my workspace, and for some reason, every single video, without fail, it turns on and starts making noises. Okay, so that's that. Super pretty. So let's get the orange off of there. Now for this, I am going to squeeze a little bit of water because I want it to actually like get it off of there. And I wish it was easier to see. I wish it wasn't causing a shadow. Let me see if I can get it up there. But there's no orange left on there. That orange is all gone. Now for the blue, because a lot of it is little tiny dots, I'm going to be really, really careful because I don't want that transferring into my orange or my yellow. And that's kind of hard because this is very, very small. So I'm really just dotting it on these small pieces. Just giving it the ever so slightest dot, dot. Okay. And these ones are a little bit larger, so these ones will be a little bit easier. Dot, dot, dot. And then most of any of the bleed that comes outside of there will be covered by the black glitter butterfly anyways. So you won't see much of that. And if you see a little bit, you know, such is the nature of watercolor. You know, and that's another thing that would be really, really pretty is to do some text, whether it be in vinyl or whatever have you, written with just regular markers, and then do like lines coming out of it, and then do a halo of watercolor. That would be super pretty. This is going to be beautiful. Really, really, really liking the blue in this. It's very, very pretty. The yellow and the orange are also, but this blue is just a really, it's almost the blue of, you know, like old China with the, I can't think of the name of the pattern, but like that blue pattern, sometimes it was red or black or blue, but the ones with the blue, that's almost the blue of this. So let's just clean off so that we're not putting it away dirty. We'll clean off and I mean, even the blue, almost every single inch of that blue is off of there. There is almost nothing of the blue left on there. I'm trying to do it without a shadow. So you can see, yeah, I can't get it in there without the shadow. But there's almost nothing left on there. So I'll show you something else. And I was talking about the quality of the things Cricut makes. I want to show you on the inside of this. Let me see if I can stand up and avoid the shadow. On the inside of this marker, the cap to the marker, there is a thing inside of there that, see that additional cap, that smaller one? That's where the water brush goes into, and that in itself clicks. So the water brush isn't just open and just kind of floating around in there. Okay, so now we need to do our black. What am I doing? Okay, so the black part I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful with because, again, what I was talking about is the open space in there and the open space in the P, even the open space in the inside of the letters. So got to be careful with it. I'm going to try to do the smallest parts first so I can try to be as precise as I can with those. If it's not perfect, it's not perfect. So it's just what it is. There's nothing I will be able to do about that. And again, if I come back through with that water slick holographic, that'll end up making this blue look like or the black look like like it's just like an offset, a black offset. So the other thing you have to be careful of is that you're not smearing anything. So when you're working on something, make sure that you're not putting your hand over a part that you just worked on. This is really, really pretty. And you know what this is? This is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like cathartic? cathartic, is that how you say it? Where it's just relaxing, very similar to doing like a paint by number or a jigsaw puzzle, or, you know, for some of us, we enjoy weeding. It's that same kind of just slow work where you're just paying attention to what's the next step in front of you. And, you know, I mean, so many of us have, especially in this day and age, so much going on all the time. There's always somebody who needs your attention, always something that needs to be done. And this is kind of just a step away from that, and just, you know, kind of going into your own little world where you're just painting. Like Bob Ross, you know, he says, oh, the pretty little trees. It's kind of like that, you know, you're just kind of relaxed and just kind of painting away your worries. And I gotta tell you, the tip of this is incredibly precise, surprisingly so. And so what I'm finding is if I kind of drag and drop and then just kind of drop it into the middle, I'm getting a little bit on the larger pieces, I'm getting a little bit more color to kind of drop into the middle. So you're dragging from the outside into that center. And then instead of continuing moving towards the outside, I'm just stopping there. I'm just stopping in the center and letting that sit there. Okay, so let's do this part next. And I'm feeling like I'm getting a feel for it. The more of these letters that I do, that I'm getting a feel for the letter work. And also, something else that I am wondering, I am pretty sure that you could do like a real pretty ombre with it. Because that the bottom part, wherever you drop that color, kind of like it pools just a little bit. And then with the watercolor paper is specifically for, so it kind of like bleeds out whatever's pooling. So it kind of like equals it out. But if you were to try doing this on a lesser fibrous paper, that pooling would sit where it was more. See, I just kind of went over the edge a little bit, unfortunately. You know what I wonder? I wonder if I were to take a piece of this card where I pooled, probably now it's too late, but if I had done it right, like as soon as I got over the edge, I wonder if I could have gotten it to kind of soak up the little bit of extra that I went over the top with. But that's okay. Let me see if I can actually kind of work that T up just a little bit, or if I'm going to make my mistake worse. Probably going to make it worse, but that's okay. Yeah, so I would not recommend trying to fix if you overbleed, just purely because I think that what happens here is I think that the writing kind of forms boundaries where the water doesn't go outside of. So I wouldn't, if you accidentally go over the edge a little bit, I wouldn't recommend trying to. I would just let it be. But in the end, no matter what, it's going to be pretty. Yeah, that really is going to be really pretty. And then when I go in, so now this part I'm going to have to be really, really careful with, because I'm just gonna accept that these middle parts are going to be filled in, but they're going to be a little bit darker because that's where the writing was. So I'm gonna first try to just totally fill in these parts, okay? And then I'm going to have to be really, really careful, like here, that I'm not bleeding these two together. That's what's going to make the difference and make these thick parts not look bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move from the very center out. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to take this part and go from the bottom. No, I'm not going to do that. That's going to be too difficult. I'm going to take this part and just very, very carefully, very incredibly carefully. Okay, almost bled it over. Okay, and very, very carefully, trying to stay towards the outer edge and doing very small strokes. There we go. So that's the best I'm going to be able to get that, and that's fine. It looks good. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to start at the outside and I'm going to move in towards the middle. I think I'm actually going to go, and I'm seeing that this is drying very quickly. This is almost mostly dry, I think. Again, very short strokes, a little bit longer than before, but still fairly short strokes. And then if I wanted to, I could go back in here and kind of like make that a little bit darker. Okay. I think I actually will on the very, very tip. Just kind of make the tip a little bit darker. Okay. And then I'm going to come up. Kind of let that pool a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it down, fill that in. I'm going to fill in this little part right here. Okay, so now here I'm going to have to be super, super, super careful, or else I'm going to end up with all of this filled in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross this point first, cross that point, because this font that I chose, the P, has two little opaque spots in it. Not opaque, but like transparencies. You can see through to the back. And I want to try to maintain that the best that I can. So I'll show you what I mean in a second. Okay, and then when I come down here, I'm going to try to do that part quick so that I'm still maintaining that center part is blacker than the rest. And I'll show you again. I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Let me get this filled in and I'll bring it up to the camera and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So I'm actually going to take this from the bottom up for this side just to try to maintain as much of that difference between the two as I can. And then again with the A, you want to be very careful. Not as careful because the spots aren't quite as small, but they are still small. Okay. Yep, that came out really, really good. Okay. And then same thing here. I just have a tiny, tiny, tiny little spot on the top of that loop of that H. So I'm going to do everything I can to try to avoid filling in that spot. Okay. And then we'll do this little part of the H next. Little part of that loop, and then we'll do this little part of this loop. And this is the other thing. So, you know, if you have shaky hands or if you're not trying to do fiddly work like this, you can do these larger. You can do, just choose one of the watercolor ones or pick one of your own and just not put the text on and just do a larger like picture so that you're not ending up with all that fiddly. Let me just show you on those peas what I was talking about. You see those little like transparency spots in them? I didn't want those filled in. So I just did my best to not fill those in. And it turned out pretty good. Okay. And come down on the side. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the other side first. So, okay. Again, being very careful not to go outside of your borders. If you have small spots like this, it makes sense to go in from the small spot. So you're touching down on the small spot first and then dragging it to the thicker spot. Okay, so that is all of our paintwork. Let's go ahead and clean this up. Get that off there so that you're not putting it away dirty. And I'm going to make the assumption that you are going to be able to get a ton of projects out of each one here. So make sure that you are cleaning this up and doing a good job of putting it away clean so that you can continually use this. Because I think you're going to be able to get a lot of projects out of one pack. Okay, so now we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to put our glitter butterfly over the top of this, and that'll tie it all together, and it's going to be super, super pretty. And then we'll be able to put our sentiment on the inside. So let's go ahead and let this dry, and I'll be back in about 15 minutes. Okay, so this is all nice and dry now. You can see it's not moving at all. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on there. Peeling this up, you're going to want to kind of work the vinyl off with it because it is that glitter vinyl, which doesn't have the same adhesion to your transfer tape. So you're just going to kind of work that off so that the vinyl stays behind on your transfer tape. Okay. Oh, do I have one that... Yeah, I have one that didn't... One little tiny bit of my design that didn't come off. There we go. There we go. Now it's perfect. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carefully as I possibly can get that lined up on there. Oh my goodness, that is going to be so pretty. That is so pretty. Yeah, and I think I will go back and add on to there. So I'll cut just regular the text, and then I'll lay the text and the laurel over top. I might even do it in the same black glitter, and then that way the outside will just look like an offset, but that'll kind of like make it all pop. But look how pretty that butterfly is. I wish you could see how glittery it is. It's super glittery, super pretty. So that's it. That's all there is to it. So like I said, if this video was interesting or helpful, like the video. Also subscribe to my channel. There's lots of really good videos coming out. You'll get notification when the new videos come out. Join us on Facebook. The group will be linked in the video description. And I will link the materials in the description also. Have a great day.